When I was a freshman in college, I was fortunate enough to be a speech and drama major. It was the only year I was ever able to study what I really like. So one day I was coming back to my dorm, and I suddenly had a vision of somebody standing at the top of a pair of stairs, don't ask me why, looking down, a guy. And I said, I could write about that. I could write that scene. I just felt I was connected with it. And you have to have that sensitivity. See, it's a combination of brains and sensitivity. I always say a bright person who's insensitive will do the wrong thing faster than anybody. A really sensitive person who isn't too bright knows what he wants to do, but he has a hard time. So it's just a nice combination of intelligence and sensitivity. And so after that, my father insisted that I go study science and take over a practice that my uncle offered to give me when he retired. And I spent the rest of my college days earning a doctor's degree in the sciences and studying writing on the side. I originally began by writing novels. And one day, I cast somebody in a golf commercial because I make a living as a copywriter. I wanted to do that because it required short copy and imagination rather than long copy and going out and interviewing people. And I was out to make a living while I protected as much mental space for writing what I consider literature as possible. So the thing is that I was talking with the actor I had cast as the lead in the golf commercials, and he asked me if I ever wrote for the theater. And I said, yes, I've thought about doing it, but I haven't. And he said, I'm the head of the director's unit at the Actors Studio, and I'll be happy to introduce you to the head of the Playwrights Unit. And that's how it all started. It actually came about as part of my copywriting. Can't do better than that, right? Counting the first one, Charlie and I finally got our show done at the Actors Studio. It took 10 years to get enough material. That's actually for me to catch up and then write it. Charlie wrote a little bit of it too. Lee loved it. Lee wanted to be the host, Lee Strasberg. Unfortunately, went to Night of 1,001 Stars, got so excited he had a heart attack and died. So we went to the memorial service at the Schubert Theater, and we knew the show might be dead too. And there was a struggle with the studio, but finally they did present our show. And as a showcase, that's when the studio did showcases instead of just readings, where you comment on them. The thing is that, and it was wonderful. It was the first time I saw my work on the stage. And it's very enlightening to see that because it magnifies everything. You're sitting there looking at the little decisions you made quietly, and now there are people walking around saying them. So you learn a lot of lessons from that. My mother actually came from my small town in Pennsylvania to see it. She was able to do that while she was still with us. The thing about, I was in the studio at a wonderful time now, and I should share that with you. Lee Strasberg was the moderator of scenes that people would do, and we would all comment on them. We also had, Kazan was there doing the same thing. I could still see him walking across the stage, slamming the desk, saying, concretize, concretize. It means you make things specific, And Arthur Penn was there. In the audience, we had Shelley Winters, Ellen Burstyn. It was a good time to be at the Actors Studio. I was my composer at the Actors Studio for the review with Charlie, which, by the way, was called Brief Chronicles of the Time. It's based on Hamlet's description of what actors are. They represent their times by the roles they take. It was Arthur Abrams. And Artie and after about a year after that or something, Artie called me and he said he had affiliated with Theater for the New City, and they were doing a review, but they needed some sketches and lyrics. They weren't happy with what they had, and I went and met them, and that was the beginning of my career with Theater for the New City. My first show there got a rave review in the Villager, and from then on it became my creative home. It's a complicated question because you like different playwrights for different reasons. And mine are, I like the ancient Greeks for figuring out that you could bring out a character and have him tell you who he is and what he wants. That's very important because until you know what a character wants, you don't care what they need. So you have to find a way to do it. More subtle ways have been developed, even in Hollywood, where if you would look at the opening of San Francisco, the movie about the fire, you'll see him walking an old lady across the street. I think he holds a baby too and pets a dog. Those are the three big ones out there. So anyway, the thing is basically an altruistic thing. You know, good people, the ones you want them to like and root for, do altruistic things, and, you know, villains do selfish things. Now, the playwrights, after the Greeks, you have the Romans, which are basically an imitation of the Greeks. But you don't have, you know, the breadth of Sophocles or the depth of Euripides, or even the body fun of Aristophanes. But it's there, Terence and there, you know, others. Then you come down and, well, here we are with Shakespeare. And what do we like about Shakespeare? Well, it's language. We love his metaphorical capacity and the way he uses it to reveal the inner lives and outer conflicts of his characters. He was not a great plot guy, which is one of the reasons that he based a lot of stuff on other material. You know, very often when the play opens, the dialogue's running way ahead of the motivation. And very often the ending is a little clunky. But he was wonderful, you know, there's no question about it. Left us the greatest legacy in the history of the theater. But language, you know, and the sonnets too. I love the sonnets. Now we come next to, because we like Shakespeare, as I said, for language, as we come down, we like the two peaks of the mountain for me are Chekhov. I like Chekhov for tenderness, the way you treat characters with infinite delicacy, and the way their emergencies can be inner emergencies, not just external ones, such as in a Crime Busters, you know. These are wonderful, and the epiphanies they move toward and then fail to realize are very, very touching. So you like him for character and the way you can really treat your characters with depth and love. Then we get George Shaw for wit. You know, he's a funny guy. Wrote a lot of very witty things, and we can enjoy him for that. As a plot person, Ibsen's in a class by himself. His stories shift gears like a sports car. Well, it varies. I always say this, nothing beats inspiration. Your logical mind is concrete sequential. It plods along and it's very necessary. But it's not inspiration. It's not the synthetic part of your mind where you synthesize new ideas. Okay? What I always think of it is there's a shelf in my mind that I can't quite reach. And once in a while, a puzzle piece falls out of there. And I look at it, and if I like what I see, I start to think about it. And more puzzle pieces fall out until I see enough of it to say, hey, is that worth writing? Does that have value? You know? And that's the way I trust inspiration more and more, okay? Because it's where the magic is. And, you know, if you have talent for playwriting, it comes to you as naturally as anything, you know. You walk under the blue sky, it's infinite, and it measures you. You just do the best you can, you know. So whether it's a lyric or, to write lyrics is different. First thing I do when I do a libretto or a musical is I write the play. Then I go through it and I mark what Ira Gershwin called lyrical occasions. You know, and there are different kinds of occasions, you know, ones that establish character, ones that express love, ones that express disappointment. And that's really actually what makes studying lyrics a crash course in how to write in different tones in the theater. When you source who you are, genetically, and in your background, you are a unique individual. You don't have to worry about being original. All you have to worry about is being in touch with your uniqueness. And then what you write will be unique. Do thine own self be true, right? So that's where it comes from. But you observe society. It's not that you observe and respond to it with your uniqueness. The only tip I can tell you is that writing has always been so easy for me that it took me a long time to understand there was anything special about it. I mean, I write like other people breathe. So I said, what am I doing here? And so the way you get your creative juices flowing is you have a talent, you stay tuned. Whenever you lose touch with your time and the events in it, you lose touch with the springboard to that gives you the inspirations. Your mind responds to it. Okay, so be involved in your time, respond to it authentically, and think about entertainment. As Somerset Maugham said in the summing up, he wrote intelligent entertainment. I believe in that too. It's very hard to think of a more concise phrase. Well, to put it bluntly, I always cry. I sit there and the tears pour out of my eyes. Why? It's just very touching to see something that happens within your mind that is an expression of who you are or how you view the world, with people up there dedicated to representing it. With my wonderful director, Mark Mercanti, has been my director for everything for the theater for the New City, just as Artie's been the composer for all the musicals, and he also writes incidental music for my plays. Who wouldn't be struck by that effect? Another thing to keep in mind is people tell you to live for the moment. Well, guess what? You'll lose your vision. You don't want to do that. You want to live within the wholeness of your life in a nice, comfortable way. And, when nature taps you on the shoulder and tells you it's over, it's over. Lifespans are a wonderful idea, my friend. There's nothing greater than the revelation of your own potential, witnessing it, living it, but thoughtfully, right?